The Five Nights at Freddy's movie official trailer released the other day, and it gave us a lot. From the crying child to William's Springbonnie to even Golden Freddy. This trailer was amazing. So without further ado, please subscribe to the channel and let's go frame by frame and break down every single Easter egg and detail that I could find. And stick to the end because I found a lot more than I thought I would. We start with a shot of the neighborhood as Mike Schmidt, played by Josh Hutcherson, arrives home, driving a 1995 black Honda Accord, seemingly confirming the year this movie takes place. And this is further proven later on too. We get a look of the inside of Mike's house, where he lives with his sister Abby, played by Piper Rubio. Abby is basically the movie version of Elizabeth, Mike's sister in the games. Her name also being an acronym for Baby, the animatronic Mike's sister possesses in the games. And of course the pink clothes most likely being another nod to Elizabeth too. She turns to Mike, who's on the phone applying to be a security guard at Freddy Fazbear's pizza place, directly talking to Matthew Lillard, playing, Steve Raglan, a career counselor. This is simply just William Afton's alias that he's using to dissociate himself from the murders that he committed back when Freddy's was still open. He actually does a similar thing in the FNAF books too, donning himself Dave Miller, before eventually revealing himself to be William Afton. The purple tie is also a nod to the game's William Afton, where he was simply represented and constantly shown as just a purple guy. Interestingly enough, Mike says that they've interacted before this call, saying,
"I was just calling to see if that job that you offered was still available,"
which we actually see in the alternate and shorter trailer for TikTok, where William says face to face to most likely Mike about
the security gig.
And this shot from the previous teaser may be when Mike first enters the room, or possibly says that he'll think about the job, which we know would make William very happy. We then cut to a shot of in front of Mike's house, where we see a notice of delinquency, which is a legal notification that payments for something is overdue. This would be the reason why he's so desperate for a job, and will take anything. A content creator who has visited the set, Dorco, has said that there are references everywhere, and one of the cast members we'll talk about later stated that they're definitely paying tribute to the games. So I honestly think anything is fair game to call out. And so I personally think that Mike's home door being light blue could possibly be a nod to the light blue door at what's often theorized to be the Afton household in one of the FNAF minigames, Midnight Motorist, which we also get another reference to later. While he's preparing for likely his first initial talk with William, we can see a sun clock on his wall, similar to the one from FNAF's sister location, where Mike watches TV. Another thing to point out is that Mike is wearing a yellow tie and dark clothing, while William is wearing a purple tie and light clothing, a subtle nod to their family connection, which may be revealed later in the movie, and this decision was to show that they're opposing each other. Over a bunch of establishing shots, William talks about how Freddy's was huge in the 80s, but has been shut down for years, and the owner is just not ready to let it go yet. This is likely a similar situation to the FNAF books, where William just can't let the past go, going as far as changing his name and becoming a night guard just to visit it. And when strangers enter the pizzeria, he is eager to show them around, and flex his familiarity to the place, before he tries to kill them as Springbonnie, that is. He just can't let Freddy's go, which is how it seems to be playing out in the movie too. We see Mike and Abby arrive for the shift, Mike telling Abby that he'll be working while she needs to sleep, which funnily enough the trailer later shows the exact opposite of that, with Mike sleeping on the shift and Abby just wandering around. Mike cracks open the pizzeria locks and they go inside the abandoned location. He then opens the door to the security office, which has an employees only sign on it, which is a reference to the first two games and their employees only signs, and we then see him entering it from the small hallway. We then see this shot from the teaser where we see the main dining area and the kitchen. We can also see the prize corner similar to Help Wanted, which we see better later, containing plushies and funnily enough, the masks made by Ruby's Deerfield Costume Co. of Chica, Bonnie and Foxy, which have been around unofficially for years now, but I guess it's official FNAF FNAF merch now, but there's also Chica and Bonnie painted on stained glass, similar to what a church has, and we later see both a Freddy and Foxy one too. We can also see in the top left something similar to riding rockets from FNAF 6. There's also drawings in the bottom left which we see better in a later shot. Now there's a lot of random drawings here, but oh my god, is that Balloon Boy? That's right, Balloon Boy is here in the movie. He most likely won't have a big role and might just be a part of a flashback, which we know are happening due to castings for a younger Mike, younger Vanessa, and Garrett, who we'll talk about in a second. There's also a drawing of Springbonnie holding hands with 5 kids, a nod to how William used this costume to lure and then murder the 5 kids that possess these animatronics. The rest of the drawings seem to just be completely random stuff. Nothing too important to know, although let me know in the comments if I missed anything. We then see the silhouette of Foxy, which we saw in the first teaser, with similar tears in its costume just like FNAF 1 Foxy. We then see vents which we have no idea where they lead, as this is something that wasn't actually in the first game's location, which this movie is based off. We later see Mike crawling through vents, which is a reference to FNAF's sister location, where Mike crawls through the vents to get from room to room. This may lead to a hideout of William's where he may be, and or it's where Mike gets tortured later in the trailer. We then get to see more of the security office, including the iconic fan that's in almost every FNAF game's office, as well as an Employees of the Month board featuring many YouTuber cameos, which one of the board members, Dorko, posted a better look at. We can see Dorko himself, 8-Bit Ryan, Razbowski, Bazamalm, and Fusion Z Gamer. In the movie clip itself, we can also see DJ Sturf. We then see Mike turning on the dirty Delco CM9760KBD keyboard. That's right, I was actually able to find the exact model surprisingly. That's connected to Magnavox security cameras. And no, I wasn't able to find the exact model. Closest I could find was one from 1997. In this same shot of the cameras, we can also see the Celebrate poster on the wall. Oddly, a dollar sign framed up, which is most likely the first ever dollar Fazbear Entertainment ever earned at their first ever location, and they're kind of immortalizing it. There's also a paper that I just can't make out, and the red cup exactly like the one that we see in the first game's office. We then see Bailey Winston's character Kim do her introductory greeting from the first teaser, once again reciting the iconic line from the original games, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where fantasy and fun come to life. We then see police officer Vanessa Shelley, played by Elizabeth Lally, arrive waving to the camera. We then see a better look at the entry containing an old Gumball machine, as Mike goes to investigate why she's here. He eventually lets her in, and Vanessa tells Mike about the animatronics, as we see this drawing of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy alongside Mike, Abby, and Vanessa. This seemingly being something, presumably, Abby draws later on in the movie, or possibly even at the end. Also, look closely at the dartboard behind Vanessa on the wall, with the darts on 20 and 3, which of course is a nod to 2023, the year the movie is releasing, and it's also an incredibly important year for FNAF, both in and out of the story. We then see more shots from the teaser where Mike opens the show stage's curtains to have a good look at the animatronics, which, believe it or not, are completely practical and working animatronics. And in this behind the scenes image, we can see a better look at the main 3 specifically. We also get a standalone image of Freddy with director Emma Tammi. In the initial shot where he's opening the curtains, you can also see the Showtime button, which we first saw in the first teaser, which activates the animatronics for their performance, and is a nod to the Showtime button, which was originally gonna do a similar thing in the games, before being cut. Mike then puts on headphones and closes his eyes, eventually somehow falling asleep later in the night. Also note the security logbook in this shot, a reference to Mike's logbook that was released as a piece of merchandise. And there's also a black phone, a reference to the phone guy from the original games. Mike then opens his eyes to see the camera glitching out and lights going crazy, as the speakers play George Bizet's Toreador March, which, talking about the soundtrack of the movie, Totem worked on the music for the trailer. These are the same people who worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer, Across the Spider-Verse trailer, Stranger Things 4's Running Up That Hill trailer remix, Transformers, Avatar, and more. But back to the trailer itself, the place lights up and we can see the Cyclone arcade game, what could possibly be the arcade Wheel of Fortune, but without the top bit, and there's also a Genie pinball machine, an Asteroids machine, and a random claw machine. The show stage opens up and Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Mr. Cupcake begin performing. Mike gets up to possibly restart the power and we can see the lockers in the background, a reference to FNAF Help Wanted, where there was literally only lockers behind you in FNAF 1. After Mike restarts it, Bonnie's guitar sparks a fuse, and the lights then turn back on. Mike then checks around to see if anything's changed, and we get another look at the arcade, dining/main area, and the show stage. This shot specifically being a one-to-one recreation of the first game's show stage camera. We then finally get our first good look at Foxy, who's actually wearing real shorts instead of just having fake shorts painted onto him. We can see his hook and his teared/withered body. As we see a shot of possibly the guard from the first trailer being dragged along the ground, Vanessa keeps narrating about the kids going missing in the 80s, and how the police searched Freddy's top to bottom but couldn't find the bodies. This is one-to-one with the game's lore, and even the book's lore, with how the lack of evidence is actually the main reason that William could get away and not be arrested to begin with. Interestingly enough, in this shot Vanessa has regular clothes on, so it seems that they do come back the next night too, and this all doesn't just take place in one single night like some people originally thought. We then see Abby coming out of the restrooms and making her way back, only to see Freddy activate, his eyes now glowing red. We then cut to a shot of the exterior of the building, having a good look at the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place sign. We then cut to a shot of some characters we heard were confirmed, but haven't seen up until this point, including a new character named Carl, played by Joseph Folloquin, who's actually wearing a shirt of the Midnight Motorist game from FNAF 6 that I was talking about earlier, and he tweeted that they wanted to pay tribute to the games as much as they could. Hank, played by Christian Stokes, carrying a baseball bat, and Max, played by Kat Connor Sterling. We really don't know much about these characters, but Christian says not to rule Hank out just yet, and Kat says,
"What I can say without breaking an NDA, and it's kind of obvious now, but Max does have a story that ties some things together and affects the outcome of the story."
We then see a shot of the supply closet/janitorial room, where we can see Bonnie rising, and we then cut to the inside where Hank turns around to see Bonnie. Back to another shot of the outside where he slams his head against the window. As Vanessa talks about the children possessing the animatronics, we then see more of Mike's seemingly hallucination breakdown in the woods. Springbonnie's outline marked on the ground, a close-up on the kid who possesses Foxy with a hook, played by Asher Colton Spence, as it cuts to a shot of Foxy's actual hook, before cutting back to the rest of the children. Bonnie's possessor Jeremy, played by David Huston Doddy, Golden Freddy's possessor Cassidy Andrew Michael, we don't know his name, played by Grant Freely, who interestingly enough had to dye his hair blonde for this movie, Foxy's possessor Fritz, Freddy's possessor Gabriel, which we can see a behind the scenes look of here, played by Xander Matteo, and Chica's possessor Susie, played by Joyfully Love. We then briefly cut back to Freddy's to see Mike and Vanessa looking at the animatronics, while talking about them being possessed. And we saw another behind the scenes image of this scene here, which interestingly enough, the framing of this shot seems a bit intentional, with a Foxy mask right in front of Mike's face, just like how he wore the Foxy mask in the games in the Bite of 83 minigames. We then cut to Mike turning around slowly, not seeing Freddy right behind him. We then see a full body look of Foxy, the only one who up until this point we haven't really seen much of. We then see Abby coming back for seemingly the second night, note the different clothing, but on her own in this specific moment, which do note the green lighting for later. We get a good look at Bonnie with its eyes red and angry, which I theorize to only happen when the spirits are angry. Interestingly though, you can see lines around the middle of its sides, as if the mask may come off at some point, and look similar to Withered Bonnie. Speaking of this, in the behind the scenes image of the main three animatronics, Chica looks like she also has an odd line, but this time near her mouth, possibly being like Withered Chica. We then see Foxy turn away from Abby and then get angry when seeing Mike, juxtaposed to Vanessa saying that they want to make her like them. And this is why I think Vanessa may be wrong about this, and that the other children actually want to stop her from becoming like them, and protect her. Just like in the books where the protagonists first think that they're gonna kill them, but it turns out they're not, and that William is the only threat in the building. As Foxy was neutral looking at Abby, and only got angry after seeing some someone else like Mike there. We then see Mr. Cupcake get angry and eyes turn red, seemingly confirming that the red eyes only happen when the spirits are angry, or possibly when someone like William is in the building. We then see Mike running in a random mall before cutting to Mike asking how to stop the animatronics. We then see another shot of Max looking into Freddy's mouth, only to see the ghost of Gabriel reaching out for her as she screams. We then see her get pulled up and the chair fall. We see Foxy slamming his foot onto a ball, and then Abby hiding behind a centipede arcade machine, as Vanessa says it's too late. Freddy, looking very angry, then turns to the camera as Mike looks scared. It's made to seem like he's looking at Freddy in this moment, but we then cut to Springbonnie, the costume William wears to lure and/or murder, humming the Toreador March, with a green light behind him, a nod to FNAF 3's green colour scheme, where we see the spring-locked version of Springbonnie, Springtrap. It's very possible that we see a scene similar to the Springlock scene in this movie, and a nice detail to how accurate the movie is being to the games is that we can see in this behind the scenes look at Springbonnie's mask. It's clearly yellow and has less of his left ear, exactly like the simplified sprite showed the withered Springbonnie suit even pre-Springlock had. Also, the green lighting in the background could possibly mean that this scene, where Abby is on her own exploring the main area, takes place in the same scene, and William finally arrives and possibly goes on a hunt for her. Abby then calls for Mike and he tells her to go, which she then does, and if you look at the left closely, you can actually see Freddy completely knocked over. What did they do to him? We then see a car driving away containing Garrett, played by Lucas Grant, Mike's younger brother, as Mike looks distraught. This seems to be a part of a hallucination breakdown sequence, as Mike's younger brother is most likely dead by this point, as we may actually be getting a recreation of the Bite of 83 from the games, where Mike accidentally kills his younger brother. This seems likely due to them casting a young Mike for flashbacks, and him calling Lucas his little brother in multiple Instagram posts. We then cut to Bonnie and Chica turning to the cameras, in front of the vents that we saw earlier. Chica is interestingly missing Mr. Cupcake, who, hear me out, she may have sent in the vents to go after Mike, as we've seen in FNAF VR that the cupcake can move around on its own. We then pan around to see an unknown dead woman on the floor, which could quite possibly be Mike's mum in a flashback, and to show why Mike and Abby are on their own. We then cut to Vanessa in a hospital with Mike by her side before cutting to a continuation of the shot earlier of Mike running in a random mall, but he's now beating up a random guy as a security guard for the mall. He most likely gets fired because of this incident at the start of the movie, causing him to then search for and get the job at Freddy's. We then get a good look at William after Springbonnie as he pulls out a knife, and you can actually see William behind the teeth. We then cut to Mike with seemingly claw marks on his back, running away from something and trying to get out, getting cornered and caught. This leading to the next shot where he's in the torture machine, which we got another good look at here. We then get a brand new logo for the movie before cutting to a 1995 Honda Odyssey taxi, further putting the year the movie takes place as 1995, with the number 5550188 on its side, which for anyone curious isn't a real number. 555 is actually commonly used in and reserved for fictional stories, due to old films and shows accidentally using real numbers, leading to prank calls, etc. Anyways, the taxi is containing Corey X Kenshin, another YouTuber, who then sees Golden Freddy, who's weirdly enough sitting next to a really happy Abby, with a broken ear and only one eye. To me, this continues to establish that the animatronics aren't actually trying to hurt Abby, but instead protect her. You can also see what appears to be dried blood around his mouth. Could this possibly further mean that we'll really see the unwithered version of Golden Freddy, Fredbear, commit the Bite of 83? I personally hope so. We then cut to a shot of Abby and Golden Freddy in front of Freddy's, holding hands as we see the movie releases on October 27th in theaters and on Peacock. Finally, we then see that the story was written by Scott Cawthon, and the screenplay was written by him, Emma Tammi, and Seth Cuddeback. Jason Blum, the producer of the movie, was interviewed by IGN, stating, "I really love a challenge. Scott had been working on it as a movie with the studio for a while, and that didn't work out. This is many years ago. Everyone said we could never get the movie done, including, by the way, internally in my company. I was made fun of for pursuing this thing that could never happen, and that always lights a fire under me to say, I bet I can do this." It was many, many, many years of development. I've grown to know Scott very well over that time, and I've become very fond of him. I think he's a really, really special person. A really creative person, probably more creative than he even gives himself credit for, in some ways, I would say. And we had to find a structure that would work for us to make this movie together. Blum admitted that it took them 6 or 7 years to find that structure, but that it worked out in the end. We finally found it, and we finally made the movie. And as you can hear by my voice, I'm extremely proud of the movie that we made together. And that's it. Subscribe so you don't miss my massive breakdown on the movie when it releases. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.